Have you ever pondered what it would be like to lose touch with reality? A world where your thoughts, perceptions, and emotions no longer align with the world as others see it? It's a disconcerting thought, isn't it? This is where we delve into the world of psychosis, a mental disorder that alters perception and thinking. Psychosis, a term that sends shivers down the spine, is often misunderstood and stigmatized. It's not a single condition but a symptom, much like a fever is a symptom of various diseases. It can manifest in several forms, from hallucinations, delusions, thought disorders, to movement disorders. Imagine perceiving things that aren't there, believing in things that aren't true, or having thoughts that are jumbled and make no sense. It's a terrifying reality for those who experience it. Now, you might think psychosis is rare, something that happens to others, but you'd be surprised. It's estimated that 3 in every 100 people will experience a psychotic episode at some point in their life. That's right, 3 in every 100. It's not as uncommon as we've been led to believe. This statistic alone underscores the importance of understanding psychosis and its symptoms. It could happen to a friend, a family member, a colleague, or even you. Psychosis isn't a sign of weakness or a character flaw. It's a serious mental health condition that requires understanding, compassion, and medical intervention. And like any other health condition, it's treatable. The key lies in early detection and intervention. Stigma often stands as a roadblock to seeking help, and that's where we need to bring about a change. We need to talk about psychosis, understand its symptoms, and learn how to support those who are affected. The more we know, the better equipped we'll be to help. One's mind is a complex and beautiful organ, but it can also be a source of great distress when it malfunctions. As we journey through this intriguing world of the mind, let's strive to understand, empathize, and break down the walls of stigma, one brick at a time. Peeling back the layers of psychosis, what does it truly entail? Let's dive into this world, a world that can often be misunderstood. Psychosis, at its core, is a mental health condition that affects the way a person perceives reality. It's like a foggy windshield on a rainy day. You know there's a world out there, but it's distorted, blurred, and sometimes entirely different from the reality everyone else experiences. One of the hallmarks of psychosis is hallucinations. Imagine hearing a voice that no one else can hear, or seeing a figure that isn't there. This isn't a figment of imagination, but a very real experience for those living with psychosis. These hallucinations can be auditory, visual, or even olfactory, affecting any of the senses, and can be incredibly vivid and convincing. Next, we have delusions. These are strongly held beliefs that persist despite clear evidence to the contrary. A person with psychosis might believe they have superhuman abilities or that someone is out to harm them. These delusions can be grandiose, persecutory, or even bizarre, like believing one's thoughts are being controlled by an external force. And then, there's disordered thinking. This is when a person's thoughts become jumbled or disconnected. It can be hard for them to keep a linear train of thought, making communication difficult. They might jump from one topic to another with no apparent connection or respond to questions with answers that seem unrelated. These symptoms can be quite distressing. They can interfere with a person's ability to function in their daily life, affecting their work, relationships, and overall quality of life. And it's important to remember that these experiences are not chosen or brought on by the person experiencing them. They are symptoms of a medical condition, much like a fever is a symptom of an infection. So, what is psychosis really? It's a journey through a reality that's different from the one most of us know. It's a challenging path, often filled with confusion and distress. Psychosis, in essence, is a disconnection from reality, a world that only the person experiencing it can truly understand. Why does the word psychosis send a shiver down our spines? This is the question we need to ponder as we dive into Scene 3, the stigma cloud. Why indeed? The answer, unfortunately, lies in the widespread misunderstanding and fear that shrouds psychosis. Society often perceives psychosis as something to be afraid of, something that's synonymous with danger and unpredictability. This misconception, more often than not, leads to the discrimination and isolation of those affected, casting them adrift on a lonely sea of misunderstanding. Imagine being in a crowd and yet feeling utterly alone. That's the reality for many individuals living with psychosis. They are often left to navigate the turbulent waters of their condition without the support they so desperately need. The stigma attached to psychosis isn't just a societal issue, it's a personal one too. It chips away at their self-esteem, making it more challenging for them to reach out for help. Moreover, the fear of judgment and discrimination can often deter individuals from seeking the help they need. They may worry about being labeled, about being treated differently, about being ostracized. This fear can be paralyzing, and it can prevent them from getting the right treatment at the right time. And in mental health, timely intervention is everything. We must also consider the ripple effect of this stigma. It doesn't just impact the individuals living with psychosis, but also their families, friends, and even healthcare providers. It creates barriers to understanding, empathy, and support, hindering the collective effort to manage and overcome the condition. The stigma cloud that envelops psychosis is thick and heavy, but it's not impenetrable. By fostering awareness, empathy, and understanding, we can start to dispel the myths and misconceptions that fuel this stigma. It's a collective effort, one that requires each one of us to play our part. The fear and misunderstanding surrounding psychosis only serve to further isolate those who need our understanding and support. So let's break down these walls of stigma and build bridges of understanding instead. Because everyone deserves to be understood, supported, and accepted, regardless of their mental health condition. How can we shatter the walls of stigma surrounding psychosis? This is a question we must all ask ourselves as we strive to create a more accepting and understanding society. To combat the stigma associated with psychosis, education is paramount. It's not enough to simply know that psychosis exists. We must strive to understand it. By learning about the causes, symptoms, and treatments of this mental health condition, we can replace fear and misunderstanding with knowledge and empathy. Education about psychosis should not be limited to classroom settings or medical seminars. It should be a part of our everyday conversations, helping to normalize discussions about mental health. By talking openly about psychosis, we can break down the barriers of silence that often surround mental health issues. Empathy plays a crucial role in combating stigma. When we can put ourselves in the shoes of someone experiencing psychosis, we can begin to comprehend the challenges they face. Empathy fosters compassion, and compassion is the antidote to stigma. Moreover, the role of family, friends, and healthcare professionals in providing support cannot be underestimated. For those living with psychosis, having a strong support system can make a world of difference. It's important for loved ones to not only offer emotional support, but also to educate themselves about psychosis. This understanding can help them provide the right kind of support and encouragement. Healthcare professionals, too, play a pivotal role. They have the power to educate, to empathize, and to provide the necessary care and treatment. However, their role extends beyond the clinical setting. They can be advocates, raising awareness about psychosis and fighting against the stigma in their communities and beyond. It's crucial to remember that breaking down the walls of stigma isn't a task for a few, it's a responsibility we all share. We each have a part to play, and every small step counts. By fostering an environment of understanding, empathy, and open conversation, we can shatter the walls of stigma. By breaking down the walls of stigma, we can create a society where individuals with psychosis feel understood and supported. What are the essential takeaways from our journey into the world of psychosis? We've journeyed together through the complex and intriguing world of the mind, delving deep into the phenomenon known as psychosis. As we've seen, psychosis is not something to be feared or shunned, but rather, it's a condition that requires understanding and compassion. Let's recap some of the key points we've discussed. Firstly, psychosis is a symptom, not a disease. It's a sign that something is going on in the brain that needs attention. It can be triggered by various factors such as stress, trauma, or even certain medical conditions. Secondly, psychosis manifests in different ways. The most common symptoms include hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized thinking. These symptoms are not a choice, but are the result of changes in the brain. Remember, individuals experiencing psychosis are not dangerous or unpredictable as often portrayed in media, but are people who need our understanding and support. Thirdly, the stigma associated with psychosis is a major barrier to treatment and recovery. This stigma is fueled by misconceptions and fear, leading to discrimination and isolation. It's crucial that we challenge these stereotypes and spread accurate information to combat this stigma. Lastly, overcoming the stigma associated with psychosis is a collective effort. It's not just about the individuals who are directly affected, but also about the society in which they live. By educating ourselves and others, we can create a more inclusive and understanding environment. So what can you do? Share the knowledge you've gained from this video. Start conversations, dispel myths, and advocate for mental health awareness. Remember, it's okay to ask for help and it's okay to offer help. In conclusion, understanding psychosis is not just about knowing the facts, but also about acknowledging the human experience behind the symptoms. It's about extending our empathy and compassion to those who are navigating this complex journey. Remember, understanding and empathy can be powerful tools in combating the stigma associated with psychosis. Our minds are intricate and beautiful, even when they function differently.